Greetings, folks. As you are sometimes painfully aware, we're in the political season. And this is the first of 3 shows that we'll run on the political candidates for state office. And our guests today are Miss Alice Demetreon from Whitwell.
Whitwell.
Right?
Whitwell.
Whitwell. No well, just Whitwell.
Whitwell.
And so we appreciate her getting up early this morning and joining us. And Mike Winton, who had to travel all the way from Manchester to get with us this morning. So I want to thank both of you for joining us. And let me ask you a quickie. Why are you doing this, Alice?
Well, I've done a lot of boots on the ground events and protests, and we feel that the regular people just aren't necessarily being listened to. And it's time to get some regular non-career politicians into office.
And that's you.
I'm definitely a non-career politician. This is my first rodeo, folks.
Okay, Mike?
Tom, I guess mine started, strangely, people would walk up to me at the post office, at the grocery store, and they would ask me questions about, what could we do about this? What should be done about this? And I didn't even know these folks. And so, I started questioning myself, and really and truly, these folks are wanting representation. These folks are wanting their voice to be heard, and not special interests, not politics, but their voice. So I've chose to run to be the people's representative.
Okay. These two are running in the Democratic primary. For one of them to be fortunate enough to run against the Republican candidate who at the moment holding that office is Janice Bowling, and she, of course, like to hang on to it. So, all right, well, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and get into things.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once. And deliver to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not 1 penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Miss Alice Demetreon from Whitwell. And Mike Winton from Manchester, and they are both running in the Democratic primary for the state Senate office from this district. 16th, I guess it is.
16th
right?
district, correct.
And so let's begin then with a give the folks some background on your own background and qualifications for this office, and let's begin with Mike this time.
Okay.
Tom, my background is, you're talking to a guy that was born in the heart of the 16th District over in Grundy County. And if you go to Grundy County and you go to outreach, then that's the 16th District. And my background being from here, I recognize the needs of the people. I also see the needs of the people without really having to ask. If someone, I just went to a clinic the other day, a free clinic over in Grundy County, and I didn't have to ask the people why they were there. They were there because they couldn't get health care. They were there because they couldn't afford health care. So St. Thomas was gracious enough to do that. Since moving to Coffee County in the past few years, I've been in business for 25 years. And knowing how to operate a business, knowing how to manage people, and knowing how to lead people helps me, I think, with the quality that it takes to become a state senator.
Okay, very good. Alice?
I'm relatively new to the state, been here 7 years. My husband and I have been married 35 years. I spent 20 years in law enforcement, and I spent 10 years as a rural volunteer EMT in a rural ambulance service. And Mike was talking about that clinic, and I volunteered at that clinic, and I was appalled after running to learn that Tennessee needed a clinic like that. We are 43rd in the nation for healthcare costs that could be avoided. And a lot of that, I believe,
Healthcare costs that could be avoided.
Right, avoidable hospital costs and visits.
Are not healthy.
Well, a
Not
lot of
leading
that,
healthy.
though, if they had a primary physician that they could go to, a lot of those could be avoided. For example, as an EMT, I saw many people who would wait until it was an emergency. And then by the time it's emergency, it costs more. You're at the hospital, as opposed to maybe you could have gone to your local physician and for $10 copay or $25 copay, maybe taking care of the issue instead of thousands of dollars in hospital costs. So I'm very concerned with that. But I grew up in a single parent home, and I know what it's like to have your electricity turned off and do homework by candlelight. And I know that we have 26% of our kids are living in poverty, and that's just wrong. And I would like to try and help take care of that a little bit. And to do that, I think we need to start educating, not incarcerating. We're incarcerating too many people. And that goes back to education. We need to get people jobs. Like Mike said, when you talk to people, when I talk to them, one of their first questions, well, if I vote for you, will you get me a job? We have a lot of people, seriously, I can't tell you how many times people have asked me that. I'll vote for you if you get me a job.
How are you supposed to do that?
Exactly. And I think we need to start with the education system. We need to teach our kids how to problem solve, not how to take tests. And that's another area. So
yeah, that's a biggie these days.
those are my two big things: the health care and then the poverty and education. We need to help our kids climb out of that.
And to get out of the poverty, you need the education.
Exactly.
Precisely. Okay. Well, how do you view the role of the Senate in these activities in terms of what their purpose is and how well it's functioning, and the good and bad of some recent seasons and politicians, and whatever's on your mind with respect to the Senate? Let's begin again with you, Alice.
Okay. Well, I felt that they wasted a lot of time in this session. Instead of choosing a state gun or a state book, they could have been addressing the Insure Tennessee issue better. There were people that showed up to tell them how they felt about it, and a lot of those people that I talked to felt shut down, like they weren't listened to. I've talked to people who said that when they call or email, they don't get an answer. And when they ask why a certain vote was voted a certain way, they're told we're not talking about that anymore. So I feel we need to listen, we need to answer people. If I make a vote, then I should be able to tell you this is why I voted that way. So the last time in session. I tried thinking of something good, and I really haven't come up with anything. So I felt that there was a lot of inaction on things that were important and a lot of action on things that really most Tennesseans probably don't care so much about.
Okay. Mike?
Tom, probably the best thing they did was adjourn. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but
And even a little early was
maybe
okay,
a little
huh?
early. So, well, it is election year, so it's time to go home and campaign. But there was a lot, in my mind, there's a lot of wasted effort, a lot of wasted time, and and I can't really condemn them because hopefully their representation in the Senate or in the House, those issues should have, and I hope were brought up because the citizens wanted it. I know the people I've visited with and that I've talked to on the back of my palm card are issues that the people in our district want. And none of those things were touched on. So I'm a little bit concerned that they weren't listening maybe to the people, but maybe to special interest. Governor Haslam, even approached the House and Senate to pass an Insure Tennessee policy to take care of 300,000 Tennesseans that are in a gap position, can't get insurance. And our Senate turned their back on them and walked away and wouldn't even negotiate. Now they have a task force, which I think is maybe a task in the mask force, looking into it. Well, it's too late. We're having hospitals closed, we're having health care denied, and we're having jobs lost because we weren't responsible. We should be responsible to the needs of the people, not to special interests, not to hire outside sources from our state. We need to worry about the people in our state and take care of those people.
What are a couple of the issues you think they wasted time on?
Probably naming a state gun. I love going to church. I love my Bible. We had, tons of money spent on trying to adopt the Bible as our state book. I'm a firm belief there are moral issues in our country, but those moral issues aren't going to get solved by government. They're going to get solved in your heart. They're going to get transferred into your home, taken to your churches, and then out to the public. We can't name a book because then we go back and say, well, which version are we going to name? Mm-hmm. So there's a never-ending process there. We need to stay firm and attack the real issues and hold firm to that first.
What's your, this comes up every season and has for several years. What's your view on the amount of energy being spent on gun control? Go ahead, Mike, while you're at it.
I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I also, years ago, had worked in law enforcement within our community because our cities couldn't afford police protection. So I volunteered several times to work back in Monteagle and Grundy County to help protect our citizens. Trained personnel need to be the people that are in charge of the guns and handling the guns. It scares me to death to know that a faculty member or someone on a student council now has a right to carry a weapon. When you're in a position where you're going to be shot at, trust me, you want trained personnel knowing what to do. You do not need just gun owners having guns on campuses. I own guns. I'll fight to the end to own my weapons, but we don't want to make sure we're putting them in the wrong places.
Okay. With that, folks, we need to take a short commercial break, and we'll put that question to Alice.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Mike Winton from Manchester and Alice Demetreon from Whitwell. Whitwell? Got that almost right. And,
you'll have that by the time it's over.
So at the break, we had put the question to Mike about the amount of energy spent not only last session, but the last bunch of sessions on gun control. So let's get Alice's view on that.
Well, I agree with everything that Mike said. And my other thing is I believe in background checks. I don't understand why we have what they call the gun show loophole, where they can just go purchase a gun without any kind of a background check. And I don't understand why it's so terrible to wait 72 hours to buy a gun unless you're planning on doing something crazy in the next hour or two. What's the harm in waiting the 72 hours? And the other thing that scares me about the gun control is there's one person on the Republican side who's going to have a fundraiser shortly who plans on raffling off 2 weapons then after all this that's happening, and I just find that very irresponsible.
Raffling 2 weapons at a political show?
Yes, in a political event.
Oh,
and I don't want to mention any names, but it is over on the Republican side. And to me, that's very scary. You're just giving these weapons to whoever wins it. Exactly. Yeah. So that scares me a lot.
Okay. Well, let's move to a little bit broader question on what they're up to. What do you consider the issues, and you've already mentioned a couple, what do you consider the issues that are really important for Tennessee that need to be addressed and are not getting there? Alice, go ahead.
Since we've already touched on the Insure Tennessee, which I think that's both mine and Mike's top priority, we've got the education issue. We need jobs, and to get jobs, we need to be... What is the
education issue?
We are 47th we are 37th. We are 37th nationwide in our education system, and in the chance of success, we are 41st. So for our kids to be that low in the chances to have success in life and a good job is just appalling to me. So we need to work on increasing those numbers up, making them go up, and let the kids have more of a chance of success. So. Okay, so Insure Tennessee and education. But then for the jobs, a lot of the bigger places complain we don't have an educated workforce, so you're back to education. You'll find out everything's intertwined, really. And we also need the infrastructure, our roads. And I've had a lot of people, like Mike says, when you talk to people, jobs, roads, those are probably their top 2 issues right at the moment. So that's things we need to work on. Okay. Right, that's, roads and infrastructure.
Had to have one of those to get from Whitwell.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I would say those are our top ones at this point. Okay. And then I'm also very concerned with the privatization issue. I know that they've talked about privatizing some of the prisons, and after 20 years in law enforcement, I'm here to tell you, no. A lot of those contracts will have that they have to be kept at capacity from 85 to 95% full. So where is the incentive to stop recidivism? People coming back right away.
Stop the number of people
exactly.
going in to start with.
So we need to work, for example, Franklin County Jail has a real good program where they help people as they're getting out of jail get jobs. We need to help get them off their whatever addictive substances they have, because unfortunately that's a big issue here in Tennessee. And once we can start working with them and hopefully stop the going right back to jail and stop that cycle. But if you privatize that and part of that contract is staying 85 to 95% full, where's their incentive to help those people get out and stay out?
So privatizing prisons, you're not in favor of?
No.
Okay. Let's, Mike, did we give you enough time on that question? The issues?
Tom, I didn't get any. So.
Yeah, I don't think he got a chance at all.
Give you some.
Okay. There's a lot of concern, as you can hear in Alice's voice and heart. You know, as I started a campaign in questioning, the Insure Tennessee came up a lot. But since then, standardized testing within our school systems is a complete failure, not only to our teachers, but also our students and the parents. I've spoken to numbers and numbers of educators, school board officials, and parents, even students, and we've got to turn that around. We've got to get standardized testing out, put an ACT back in, and allow our teachers to teach our kids. I wasn't the old saying, as an elevator, I was kind of on the ground floor, but really you don't need an elevator when there's only one floor. So I wasn't the best student, but I remember every educator I had, Tom, from day one until I graduated high school. And every one of those people made an impact on my life. Every one of those people made a difference in what I've become today. I want to see our teachers be able to do that with our young kids. We need that guidance, we need that education, and we need that experience back in our classroom.
We need, you mentioned, and we maybe need to touch on a minute, sounded like you were saying test to the ACT.
Yes, change it back to an ACT instead of the standardized testing. Standardized testing had teachers spending hours upon hours preparing, and then the outside state contractor couldn't even deliver right at the final hour. So most of those times and efforts were lost, and the students got nothing in return.
Well, a big issue for several years, and we haven't quite solved it yet, is testing to standards that are not being taught. A disconnect there of major proportions. And I guess the tests that should have been given this year were supposed to solve that, put them back, you know, get the testing to that. But the contractor who had that job fell flat, and we didn't make it, so they kind of had to abandon testing altogether. But you're in company, because I know our own director of schools agrees with you that we should be testing to the ACT.
Yep.
So, all right. What are your views, quickie, on best and worst results of the session just ended for the Senate? Alice, let's go with you.
Okay. Well, we're back to, I could not think of any best results, actually, because almost everything that came out was things that I don't think the people were looking for.
They didn't do anything worthwhile, huh?
I'm racking my brain here, but I'm really not coming up with anything. And there's a PACE bill that Sierra Club's been working on to help people put solar panels on their home, and I know that got shelved. We're gonna, hopefully they'll work on that a little bit next year. You know, hopefully these task force, I was not impressed. I went to the one in Chattanooga, and even the hospitals are telling them we need to do something. So I'm hoping we can come back there. Maybe me or Mike can be there and work on that next year. But for this year, I'm sorry, I felt it was sadly lacking.
Okay. Mike?
Some positives did come out. It wasn't that we passed the legislature, but we actually stopped it. As I'll be representing part of Warren County, Representative Dunlap which is an educator, really stepped up and helped defeat the voucher program this year. That I think would also hurt our local school systems. The tax dollars are, are funded, and government runs off tax dollars. We don't really have anything to sell. And I think when you started putting those voucher programs out there, you put entitlement out there for charters and different things. And not only Kevin, but a lot of other legislators did a good job of shooting that down and putting it to bed. Not to say it won't come back.
No vouchers.
But no vouchers.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Guess what? You want to go ahead? You got a comment?
Oh, no, I was just saying that totally agree with what he said there on the vouchers.
No vouchers for both of you then.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that, folks, we need to take a short commercial break and wrap up.
The Russell Barnett Automotive family is the largest automotive retailer in southern Middle Tennessee. With over 1,200 vehicles to choose from, we are your one-stop shop. Check out our awesome website, russellbarnett.com. There's over 1,200 vehicles to choose from. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, and Ford of Winchester, or Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We've been visiting today, folks, with the 2 candidates in the Democratic primary for the state Senate district seat. And they are Alice Demetreon from Whitwell, and Mike Winton from Manchester. So give each of you a 30-second shot at something you want to say direct to the folks. You can look in the camera over there and speak to them. Alice?
Hi, I am a workhorse. I am not a show pony. I am not a career politician. I will go in there. I will do everything I can, and I will speak as much as I can to help you and your family. So vote for me. Okay.
Mike?
Tom, again, thank you and the station for doing this, but being from the heart of the Senate district here, I do have a heart for people. I'm a workaholic. I'll represent you the best I can, and I don't know anything to tell you except you just put your trust in me and you won't regret it. My baby sister tells you to win with Winton, so do that in the August primary, and we'll take it to Nashville and get some representation back.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you both very much for taking the time to join us and give us your views. And thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor. And we're leading up to the election on August the 4th, I believe it is.
August 4th, correct.
So pay attention over the next few weeks and get out there and vote.
Early voting starts July 24th.
Ah, yes, okay.
July 15th.
Oh.
And so thanks for inviting us into your parlor. We'll see you next time.